Time to earn my pay. It's back to toy reviews. And what better way to continue toy reviewing than with this. O's Combo Change Series number 6, Kamen Rider Birth. I'm going to tell you right now, even though I do not have a Figuart handy, he's as big as a Figuart. So I know some are already wondering, will this be in scale with my Figuarts O's? And that's all they really wonder about this toy. Yes, it is in scale. First off, we're going to start with, well, the head shot, of course. The sculpting and paint on the head is pretty well done. I mean, it's not as sharp as it would be on a Figuart because this is the cheaper line. And there's some paint detailings that are going to be missing. That's just the fault of being in a budget series. The only problem I really have with the head sculpt is that there's no way of putting that red glow on the visor. And that's exclusive to the Figuart. But still, it's a really nice sculpt. It's definitely Birth. Didn't really mess up in any way there. Down to the chest, you've got the capsule ball right in the middle, detailed very nicely, as well as the metallic green and silver. Once again, I mean, you could play a drinking game to me mentioning Bandai Silver at this point. And you can see it's wrapping all the way around to the back, where you've got another little gashapon capsule waiting for you, as well as on the shoulder armor, all very nicely painted and detailed. You can see the little bit of yellow along the chin, which is also on both sides of the collar, going all the way to the back. You don't have the gashapon capsule painted there, which is unfortunate. The crank is painted gold appropriately enough, however. The belt is painted all the way around, but the top and the bottom of the belt are left black, which is a minor nitpick at best. I would have liked to see it painted. It doesn't really break the illusion that badly, though. On the arms, too, once again, gashapon capsules all over, and the gold wrist cuff as well. All the painted and molded detailings you can see here. There's some wiring going from the shoulder to the elbow. Also, going down, crotch, sorry. See, that butt, sorry. The side armor on the thigh here, going all the way around to the knee, to the shin, with the one more gashapon capsule. They are all over this toy, all painted correctly, thankfully, and the ankle cuffs leading to the foot at the bottom. You can see all the molding is there. The paint job is a little cheapened out because it is the budget line, but they've still done a fabulous job capturing all the nuances of Kamen Rider Birth. Now we must discuss articulation, because everyone else waiting for a Figuart wants to know how that measures up. Starting at the head, only one joint in the head, but it is a ball joint, so he can look up and down as well as left and right all the way. Shoulders, also on, well, not really a ball joint, more like a hinge. So the shoulders can actually move upwards all the way to human level and rotate around all the way. Got a bicep swivel as well as a 90-degree elbow. No wrist swivel either. The hips are also on a ball joint, a full ball joint this time. You've got a lot of range in it, however. It goes up all the way here, almost all the way back. Again, it's about the limit of human movement. You've got the joint here, the swivel above the knee, as well as a 90-degree knee, and ball jointed ankle. So it rotates and it pivots to give you stability during open leg stances. The one flaw of the articulation is in the chest. You don't have the torso joint of a Figuart, and you do not have a waist joint at all. This is the major strike against the toy. The waist articulation comes in so handy on poses that, unfortunately, yeah, Birth just doesn't have one. I'm not sure why. I should also mention that he does have hand articulation to make up for the fact that he does not have swappable hands. The fingers are molded into two pieces, so his lower two and upper two fingers can move together independently. This is for gripping his signature accessory, a very tiny Birth Buster. You can see it is all molded in one solid gunmetal gray color, with a little bit of paint there just to give it this feel and look of the Birth Buster. However, that feel does get lost when you realize this thing is very tiny. What is normally the size of a hand cannon is a pistol here. Now, alternately, You also have the cell burst mode, ready to deliver the final blow. There you can see all the detailing on the gun, which is identical on the normal version, plus the Gatling gun tip on the end here. This is just as big, which is unfortunate. Now, while this does have the advantage of letting Birth go all John Woo on some greeds, it is not the strongest accessory. Not by far, especially not with this toy. OCC Birth comes with all of the claw system, which means all of those weapons he can summon out of the Birth driver, with just a drop of a cell metal. We're going to start with probably his favorite, which in this case would be the drill arm. This is the one you see most often. You can see very nice paint job with a blue rim, as well as the silver, giving the drill bit some personality and some correctness. I really could have phrased that better, but oh well, we'll just run with it. It attaches on either side, and, well, it's pretty simple. It also doesn't have much weight to it. This, in particular, does hinder the shoulder a little bit, which all the arm weapons are going to do. However, it's a nice touch, and it does look exactly like it's supposed to. Next up, we have the shovel arm. This one is pretty simple. You've got the big silver claw there, as well as the underclaw molded in, and some orange paint apps just to give us some uniqueness. See, all the little details are molded in nicely. There's actually a lot of really nice molded detailing on this particular piece. Just like the drill arm, it plugs onto either arm to give him a power punching action. Now, it's the shovel. It doesn't really have a scoop to it, though. It's more just like a big bashing fist. But it still looks cool. And once again, even though it is far heavier than the drill, it doesn't seem to hinder any articulation or poses that you can form with it. Let's try giving him something for his right arm. So let's go with the largest of accessories, which can't even fit in the capsule. The crane arm. This one is big and beefy, giant two-piece attachment. Here at the top, I assume, would be the coiler for the crane itself, and a lot of extra details going all the way down. That, again, the same molded detail that's on all the gashapon capsules all over Birth, also appear here. Nice green this time, same metallic green that is on Birth. Also, tiny little crane. It does actually extend a little bit, but since his hand is going in there, it doesn't extend all that much. This one's a little trickier since you've got to peg it in two positions. So the arm, for the ease of attaching, make sure it's perfectly straight. Make sure all these little wires are lined up so you know exactly where it's supposed to go. And give it a nice solid push with thumb and fingers. This is actually a pretty cleverly designed little gimmick, because that elbow joint in it forms perfectly with the elbow on Birth himself. So you've got a lot of articulation despite its size and how much it should interfere. It actually interferes less than the shovel and drill arms, which really surprised me. This one is the bulkiest. So this one is going to give him some weight on one side, which will make some poses a little difficult. But still, he seems to hold up pretty well on me. Let's get to some stranger ones. How about the caterpillar leg? Two big beefy pieces here to go on his feet. Now, you've got the maroon color, signifying this one, and a little bit of silver just to add a little bit of detail to him. This one is kind of the hardest one to attach because the piece is so deep, you're not quite sure when it is all the way in, and it makes it a little bit difficult to see. But a little practice, that's all you need. It's actually molded for an open leg stance. Careful observation will show you where the plastic is slanted to allow this. Now, just in the show, this is one of his goofier attachments, and it gives him these really beefy boots on his legs. This actually is what throws off posing the most, because it changes how he stands. It's actually a little bit tricky to get him to stand up. It takes a little bit of practice and a little bit of unique positioning. But overall, you know, this is probably one of the weaker attachments, but it's, it still serves its purpose well. It's exactly what it's supposed to do. Now, for one of the most underused in the show until recently, the cutter wing. All silver paint on this wing with a little bit of gold trimming it out. This is a really nice looking accessory. Again, that hexagon motif retains itself, and you've got a little bit of articulation. This is articulated with a gear in it, so when one moves, so does the other. This one, pegging onto his back, though I should mention this could peg onto his arm too if you wanted him to have a scissor weapon. Here is your Birth with Flight. It's probably one of the more understated accessories of the set, despite how nice it looks, because it is stuck to his back, which means its presence visually is a little underwhelmed. However, it does add a lot of uniqueness and variety. And of course, when it's time to finish off the yummy, there's only one accessory to turn to, the final one in the claws system. That is the breast cannon. Again with these strange names. Birthbuster wasn't enough, was it? This one's the most oddly designed of them all. You've got the two big handles here on the side, and all the silver is used for the big barrel. No, it's close-ended, which, it would have been nice to have a little bit of, just to make it look more like a cannon. But, oh well, it serves its purpose well. Folding it down, we can form it onto his chest, which you can peg right there on his uniboob. Pegs on nicely, his feet are stable enough to hold it up, and his arms are articulate enough to get the hands onto the... Well, actually, let me see. That's not quite gonna work, is it? Could have sworn I got this to work at one time, so this might just be me goofing up. You can get one hand on there. It doesn't quite have the articulation it needs in order to get both hands up for this, which is unfortunate. Okay, I stand corrected. He can hold it in both hands, so yeah. That little dialogue was pointless. But wait! Before we do the obvious thing, let's do the thing that I really like about all these little toys. Behold Claws Sasori, the combined form of all 6 weapons. I love big mechanical scorpions. I don't know why. This one pretty much combines all of the little nuances and details, which now I can show you. You have a scorpion face molded in, which is a nice subtle touch that you wouldn't notice right offhand unless you knew they all combine into a big freaking scorpion. You don't really have all that much you can do with him. He is just a big metal tank of a scorpion. The claw here does close up and down, and of course it's pegged in here, so you can move it around a little bit. You can't really do it as much on this one, because the peg is inside the piece, and it is restricted there. What I do like about this one is you can still extend the crane arm, so you can get a little bit of a sting out there. The tail does have 2 points of articulation to it, thanks to the combination method, and in the detail that I like the most, the tail is actually long enough to get a full-fledged sting out of it. Overall, it's a great little bonus mode, and it looks exactly like it does on the show. I mean, it's a neat little scorpion tank. What more do you want? But that just leaves us with one thing to do. With all weapons activated at once, Birth becomes Kamen Rider Birth Day form. I swear every weapon this guy has gets a weirder and weirder name. Strange names aside, though, this guy is an impressive piece of work with everything attached all at once, and strangely enough, those caterpillar legs seem to balance him better here, with all the weight kind of pushing down on him. Now, there are a few things that bug me in this form. Now, this arm, his left one in this picture, is completely unhindered. You can still do everything with it. However, because of the cutter wing on the back, the breast cannon in the front, he does have articulation issues. Also, huge weapon obstructed on both sides. Now, he does have enough range in some of his joints, especially in the shoulders, that he can still pull off some poses with this. You can still work a few things around, especially thanks to how, just loose-fitting a lot of this stuff is. And surprisingly enough, he can still hold poses despite all of this extra weight stuck to him. Overall, this is pretty much just a bonus to everything else, because all of this stuff has a ton of variety to the toy and a lot of playability. With the pending release of the Figuart, many will be asking which version to get, this or the Figuart. And while normally I would recommend the Figuart, keep in mind, the claw weapons are going to be a Tamashii web exclusive, making them very expensive and difficult to get if you're an importer like me. Even if you plan to get the Figuart, I'd still suggest this in order to get the full experience of the claw weapons. In the end, you still get the same playability, and it's a much cheaper price point than getting an exclusive. Not to mention, as an all-in-one package, this thing is a hell of a deal. Mine came from Hobbylink Japan, and yours should too. Now, if I could only find a milk jug the right size for this toy, my life would be complete. But until then, I'm going to be very happy with this toy. Birth just got a lot cooler in the show. In fact, if it gets any cooler, I'm going to have more gunmetal gray and green plastic to pick up.